What's up, y'all? William Kirk here with another episode of Synth Sounds of. And today, we got something very special for you because a lot of people have asked for this over the years, but today is the day it finally happens. So with that being said, when the cream sets out too long, pause. You must whip it. That's right, we're doing Devo, Whip It. Devo formed in the 1970s in Akron, Ohio. They had this rock and roll, punk, new wave sound that they were experimenting with at first, but then later it evolved into something very magical and odd. And needless to say, if you know Devo, you know what they're about. So while they flirted with using synthesizers on their first two albums, they didn't really go crazy until they got deep into the synthesizer game with their third album, Freedom of Choice, which dropped in 1980. The first hit that Devo had, and the biggest hit they've ever had, was written by Mark Mothersbaugh and Gerald Casale. The bass line is definitely carrying all the weight from start to finish. The bass is driving the whole train. We're using the Geddy Lee signature Moog Model D to give you that awesome unison feel being played throughout the song. The original has guitar, bass, and the synth. We are gonna have Jake.
Huh?
That's right, Jake. You know Jake. He's gonna play bass and guitar.
Okay.
And I'm gonna play the synth. By the way, I have to just let you know, I'm sorry I don't have a energy dome on or a hazmat suit, but we're still gonna whip it good. So we're using the Geddy Lee signature Moog Model D, which is obviously made for bass because Geddy Lee, Moog, you saw that episode before, so I don't have to explain it. But if you're playing unison lines or single lines, you're stacking on top of instruments, this is the one you want to use. If you're looking for a Model D type sound, check out the Moog Grandmother or the new Moog Messenger. You can also get pretty close with the Novation Bass Station 2. And if you're down with using software emulation, check out the Arturia Model V or the Centronic Minimoog VSTs. So in this song, there's also a very key part that plays a big role in the identity of this song, which is the descending synth part that you hear during the verses and various parts of the song, and it's played using the Prophet 5. So it's a very basic part. We don't have to do too much programming per se to get that sound. We take one of the oscillators, take it up an octave, and we also take that same oscillator that's up an octave and detune it just a little bit to give it that chorusy sound. We've achieved the depth of this sound by playing it twice. And all we did was basically play one part down an octave, and then we played the other part in the standard octave. And then we panned them left and right. So today we're using the new sequential Prophet 5 desktop, which sounds just like the original, but at a much lower cost point. There's of course the full-size version, but if you're looking for similar sounds at a lower budget, check out the Kirk Minilog XD. There's also plenty of software emulations out there, like the IK Multimedia Centronic Pro V or the Arturia Prophet V. Not to be outdone, But there is one signature sound about this song that needs to be talked about, and that is clearly the whip sound. There are drums on this song, and that is Alan holding it down on the drums playing. However, when you hear this crack sound that sounds like a clap or a whip or something that's just really synthesized, that is the white noise explosion of the EML Electrocomp 500. Now, we can't find that synth because it's rare. It does look like an ARP Odyssey, which has its sound of its own, but this sound could be created with any synthesizer with the noise generator. We could use our trusty Moog Model D, but Granny's home, and the grandmother is a semi-modular, so we can actually do more to craft the sound. So another key texture to this whip sound is the reverb. Can't talk about the whip without the reverb. The legend has it is that when they recorded the whip sound, they took that sound, had some big speakers, put the speakers in the hallway at the record plant, this big long hallway, played the sound through the speakers, and then recorded the sound coming out the speakers into the hallway to get more reverb for the whip sound. So with that being said, I'm just gonna tell you the bad news up front. We don't have a hallway and we don't have access to the record plant. We do have plugins and technology that will give us reverb. So there is a very key part among all the other key parts, but this happens in the hook. And you know what it is. Beep, 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 beep. Yep, it's that part. The weird, goofy, signature Devo sound. So we don't have a Moog Liberation because those things are rare, they're hard to find, which is also the same as rare, I guess. However, we do have the Concert Mate MG1, which was made by Moog. However, it was to be sold in Radio Shack, for those old enough to remember Radio Shack. Let's just say for the sake of the spirit of the song, we're using what we can of this model we have available. Just like your mama used to say, hey, we got Moog at home. This is Moog at home. So there you have it, the incredible journey of Whip It in the form of synthesizers. Now let me just say, it's always been a pleasure to do these and to share some context of the band, the synths, the songs, but this song has been on our table for a long time. Many people have requested it. Case in point is, you've been synthesized and idealized by the way of Devo. And thank you so much for watching. Make sure you comment, you like, and you subscribe, and you share this video with other people that are just as nerdy as you. I'm William Kirk. Au revoir. And until then, you must whip it!